Hello everybody. Today I am going to discuss about the significance of the Preamble of Indian Constitution. If you are going into detail, we should know the meaning of Preamble and its historical background. The term Preamble comes from the Latin word which means preambule, which means to what before. A preamble in the context of law can be described as an introduction or kind of foreword to a legal act. If you look at the history of the constitutionalism, we'd find that Constitution of United States of America, which came into force in 1789, is the first constitution in the world to have preamble, and later on lots of countries followed it. As of today, 158 constitution out of 193 functioning constitution of all members of UNO have preambles in their constitution. So preamble is familiar to most of the countries in the world. Since the preamble of our constitution is concerned, it is based on subjective resolution presented by Pandit Nehru in Constitution Assembly on 13 December 1946 and unanimously passed on 22nd January 1947. So what are the sources of the preamble? So there are four sources of the preamble. The first and most important source is objective resolution, and second source is US Constitution, from where the word "we the people of" was taken. Third source is Russian Constitution, from where the word justice, social, economic and political were taken. And last source is the French Constitution, from where liberty, equality and fraternity were taken. Language in preamble. The language used in preamble is so beautiful, easy to understand, and text size is so small. There are only 85 words in the preamble, which is the lesser than other preambles with average text size of 150 words only. So preamble of our neighboring country, China's constitution has more than 1,200 words, and Iran's constitution has more than 3,000 words in preamble. So it is the text of the preamble of Indian Constitution which starts with "we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic." So what are the contents and components of the preamble? So there are four components and ingredients in the preamble. First one is source of authority of Constitution. But when preamble starts with the words "we the people of India," which indicates that the people of India are the sole source of authority behind the Constitution, and supreme power of the land rests with the people of India. As Supreme Court of India clearly said in 1953 in Union of India versus Madan Gopal case, that Constitution of India derives its authority from people of India. So second component is nature of Indian state. So India would be sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. There are five natures. And third component and ingredient is objectives of the state. So there are four objectives of the Indian state. These are justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. And last ingredient and component is the date of passage and adoption of the Constitution by the Constitution Assembly, and that date is 26th November 1949. There are 9 keywords used in the preamble. These are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, justice, equality, liberty, fraternity. These are the important words. We should know the meaning of these words to understand the significance of our preamble of our Constitution. So first word, which is sovereign, which means that India is an independent country and no authority above it, which indicates that India got independence through a struggle not as a gift by a foreign authority. India externally and internally independent. So externally free from control of any foreign power, being a member of Commonwealth of Nations and United Nations does not mean that India is not a sovereign country, because Commonwealth of Nations is a voluntary association and Queen of UK is just a symbolic head. And United Nations itself consists of only independent nations. And second word, which is democratic. So we can add democratic here because while talking about internally India as an independent state, because India has a free government directly elected by the people, which makes laws that govern the people, and India adopted representative parliamentary democracy. So universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rules of law, independence of judiciary are the characteristics of Indian democracy. So third word is republic, which means that Indian head of state, Indian state is not hereditary as monarch of UK. That means Indian head of Indian state is directly or indirectly elected by people for a fixed term. Then fourth word is socialist, which means existence of mixed economy, that public and private sectors coexist side by side, and India adopted democratic republic. So government should regulate the ownership of land, industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. Fifth word is secular, which means every religion will have equal status, and the state shall not have an official religion, and the state will support all religions equally. Another important thing that all people must have freedom of conscience, practice and propagate religion. And other four words which are related to objectives of Indian state, the first one is justice. And in justice there are three forms of justice. Social justice, which means elimination of social discrimination. Economic justice, which means non-discrimination between people based on economic factors. And political justice, which means all citizens should have equal political rights. The second word is liberty, which means absence of restraints on activities of individuals and providing opportunities for development of individuals' personality. Next word is equality, which means absence of special privileges to any section of society and adequate opportunities for all without any discrimination. Last word is fraternity, which means brotherhood. That means is a feeling should be there that all people should feel that we are children of same soil and same motherland. That two important things are related to this motherhood. Brotherhood, that dignity of individual and unity and integrity of nation to be ensured. And fraternity and brotherhood's existence is conditions its existence of equality, justice and liberty. And the preamble is a part of Indian Constitution now, but earlier in 1960 Barabury case, Supreme Court held that preamble is not part of Indian Constitution. But later on, in famous Pesavanandi Bharati case of 1973, Supreme Court rejected its previous own opinion and held that it is a part of Indian Constitution and reconfirmed it in LIC of India case of 1995. So since it is a part of Indian Constitution, it can be amended, but with the subject to basic structure of the Indian Constitution. So till today, only one time it was amended in 1976 by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, and only 3 words were added. These words are socialist secular integrity, but more importantly, nothing was deleted till now. After going through the preamble, its components, its ingredients, an explanation of 9 keywords used in a preamble, and various observations by Supreme Court of India, we can conclude that preamble is mirror of the Constitution. It's a vision, it's a mission, and soul and spirit of our Constitution. As Sir Alladi Krishna Swami Iyer, a prominent member of the Constitution Assembly, rightly said, the preamble expresses what we had thought or dreamed so long. And I am going to end this lecture with observation of Sir Ernest Barker, a distinguished English political scientist, as he said, the preamble is keynote to the Indian Constitution. So thank you very much for your patience.